Welcome back to another edition of Dave Smith Unleashed. And first of all, of course, thanks to our great sponsor, MTS Transportations, for making all of this possible for all your freight, trucking, and shipping needs. There's only one place to go. Call my good friends at MTS Transportations. And, and thanks to Roca Grill and Whiskey Bar for hosting our first video Dave Smith podcast with our good friend Steve Kim. So we had a boxing one and an NFL one and a college football one. So thanks for all the good feedback as well. Hopefully we do some more out there in beautiful Bellflower, California. Roca Whiskey Bar and Grill. And thanks to Steve Kim, of course, for coming out in person and doing some shows. And my mug on camera, hopefully the camera lens didn't break when I saw my mug on there. But we had a great time, and of course, drinking porn star martinis and eating chicken wings and eating steak sandwiches. I tell you what, the food is great out there in beautiful Bellflower, California. And by the way, the guys at MTS Transportations and Steve Kim wanted to give me a man card violation because I came into the place. I stayed in Downey the night before, and I drove through Downey on my way to Roca Whiskey Bar and Grill to do the live podcast. And then I saw a group of tourists standing outside a house. So I pulled over and said, I wonder what's going on here. They were all taking pictures. And it was the former home of the great Karen Carpenter from the Carpenters. Probably, the voice of the angel, maybe the best female singer I've ever heard. And I was excited about it. And they were all giving me man card violations. So, well, you're bragging about Karen Carpenter? That's chick music. And I said, I beg to differ, my friends. And then I showed him the video. Karen Carpenter is one of the greatest drummers of all time. So I said, look at this. This girl was a rock star. And, of course, then the apologies started flowing in. So we had a great time out there. And by the way, congratulations to me on two fronts. My great prediction of Bud Crawford to win easily against Canelo Alvarez in their fight last Saturday night, which, of course, came true. And I said right here on Dave Smith Unleashed, I said it on X/Twitter, Bud Crawford is going to give Canelo Alvarez a Floyd Mayweather-like schooling. I don't care that he's coming up 3 weight classes. He looks good at 168. His body looked good. And I tell you what, easy pickings for Bud Crawford. And Canelo's on the downside, of course, and not what he used to be. But he's always had trouble with guys like Floyd Mayweather, Erislandy Lara, Triple G, who's a very good boxer, and in my opinion, beat him twice. So I thought this was an easy one. And, of course, I advised everybody to make a bet at 2-1 or plus 150, whatever it was, on Bud Crawford. So hopefully you make a lot of money. But this is the big one. The Dave Smith NFL Locks of the Week. I was 2-0 going into Sunday, Rams and Rams. I was sticking with Sean McVay and the Rams. I'm going to get to him in a minute. But Sean McVay and the Rams. In week 1 against the Texans, in week 2 against the Titans, and they came through for me. Week 3, I didn't really trust the Rams going into Philadelphia against the Super Bowl champions. So my NFL lock of the week for pick 3, ding, 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 another win and an easy one. Seattle -7 against the New Orleans Saints. And I told all of you when I made this pick, an indoor team playing outside, that's always bad. The Saints going to Seattle. A team near the East Coast traveling to the West Coast, always bad. They almost never play well. Bad weather and rain with an indoor team. And plus the Saints aren't any good. Now, Seattle's not any world beaters, but they're a hell of a lot better than the Saints than they're at home, and they were up like 35-3 early in the second quarter. That was an easy one. So, Dave Smith NFL Locks, 3-0 right now. How much money are we making if you're a subscriber to Dave Smith Unleashed? So spread the word. I give out the lock every week, and the locks are 3-0 against the spread right now, and the Bud Crawford lock against Canelo Alvarez. How about that? And thanks to all the subscribers here, man. We're getting up close to 3,000 right now, and we're kicking ass here on Dave Smith Unleashed. And once again, thanks to our great sponsor, MTS Transportations, and all involved. And again, had a great time at Roca Whiskey Bar and Grill. Hopefully we can go back there in Bellflower and do another show. All right, let me get to the Rams and Sean McVay. This is going to be a very unkind ripping of Sean, and this is why you listen to Dave Smith over the years. This is why you listen to Dave Smith Unleashed, because you're not going to get this anywhere else. And will the LA media destroy Sean McVay after that loss to the Eagles, which I would contest is squarely on his shoulders? Well, no, for 2 reasons. Number one, 99% of the LA sports media doesn't know anything about football and can't decipher what's going on down there. They know nothing about clock management, game management, time management, situational football the way I do. So, of course, you're not going to hear it. And another reason you won't hear it is because a majority of the people in the LA media are kiss-ass housemen. We're kind of afraid that the Rams might get upset with them if they say something like that. So they're always going to play it safe, which is something I never did, and everybody knows that who listened to me over the years. But let's get to the nuts and bolts here. This was absolutely a game the Rams should have won, and they had it well in hand. Yes, the Eagles are the defending Super Bowl champions. Yes, they came into the game 2-0, but they haven't been playing well this year, and I really like the Rams in this game, not only to cover 3.5, but to win. Now, I didn't like him enough at 3.5 to make him my NFL lock of the week. I thought Seattle at home -7 over the Saints was the lock of the year in the NFL. That one just leaped off the page at me. But the Rams had a 26-7 lead in the third quarter against the Philadelphia Eagles. And somehow they find a way to lose 33-26. 2 blocked field goals in the fourth quarter and a run stuffed on 4th and 1 and some, I tell you what. You go to textbook bad play calling, terrible situational football, clock mismanagement, timeout mismanagement. You'll see a picture right there of the boy wonder, Sean McVay. His mug will be right there with the definition of all of them. Now I know Mike LaFleur is the offensive coordinator, but Sean McVay calls the plays. This is all on him. Let's go over some of these clock management blunders and fiascos here, shall we? Now, of course, he burned a timeout early in the first quarter. That's what he always does. But how about this series? This one was really bad. Rams are up 26-21 early in the fourth quarter. They've got a 4th and 1. Now, they didn't get a first down on third down. See, what you need to do, if you don't get the first down on third down and you're going to go for it on 4th down, you don't give them time to set their defense. You rush up to the line of scrimmage and you run a play while they're on their heels before they can get ready. You don't get the third down. You sprint full speed, snap the ball when they're not ready, and get the first down. That's how you do it. What does the boy wonder do, Sean McVay? He calls a timeout with 14 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and he'd already burned one earlier in the third quarter. So now the Rams are down to 1. So then I said to myself, boy, he must have a special play lined up here. It's 4th and 1. He's up 26-21. If the Rams convert and get a touchdown, they're going to put the game away if they go up 34-21 or 33-21. They call a timeout. They've got time to think of what they want to do. They have time to strategize. And what do when they came out of the timeout? They run the ball straight up the middle against Jalen Carter and company and Jordan Davis and get stuffed for a 2-yard loss. The play never had a chance. Even Greg Olson and the announcers were saying that's one of the worst play calls you will ever see against a 9-man front when you're trying to block those big guys up there. The Rams get stuffed. They don't get the first down in a 26-21. That's one of the worst sequences I've ever seen. Why would you call a timeout there before a 4th and 1? And then why would you run up the middle? Boy wonder, Sean McVay? That's stupid squared. And 2 of the reasons you lost this game. Wasting timeouts, stupid play calling, not hustling up to the line of scrimmage. Why don't these coaches understand? If you run a third down play and you're about a foot short or a yard short, you don't go back to the huddle and give the defense time to substitute and set up. You sprint to the line of scrimmage, you snap the ball immediately and convert when they're not ready. That's how you convert short yardage situations. So this was, you talk about a tough loss if you're a Rams fan. Wow. Now, I've got more ripping of Sean McVay to go, but let's talk about the kicker here, Joshua Carty. Now, he'd made 4 field goals earlier, and that's another indictment of Sean McVay, that they kept settling for field goals when they were down there near the red zone against the Eagles because of his inept, incompetent play calling on short yardage situations. But the Rams get not 1, but 2 field goals blocked in the last minutes of the game. First block, 8:46 left. Rams again up 26-21. Line up for a field goal on third. And first of all, let's talk about McVay's play calling again. They had a 3rd and 2 before the field goal was blocked here. And instead, what you need to do there is convert a first down. What you don't do is throw a low percentage fade route deep down the sideline that had no chance of working. You try those on first down or second down, McVay. On third down, the goal has to be to convert a first down, especially in that situation with 8 minutes left and you have a 5-point lead. But he throws deep down the right sideline. The play had no chance. Now they're settling for a field goal. Here's the kick. Kick is low and blocked by Jalen Carter. You know, a fat guy in the center of the defensive line just raised his arm up there and blocked it. That was 100% on Joshua Carty. The kick was too low. Carter never got into the backfield. He wasn't past the line of scrimmage. He just raised his arm up in there. That kick was low. That is on the kicker, 100%. So then the Eagles, of course, go down and score and take a 27-26 lead. But here come the Rams. Nice drive. Matthew Stafford leading them down the field. Now, one thing that didn't make sense as well, there's 18 seconds left in the game. The Rams are in field goal range. What you want to do there is do a safe running play, run the clock down, and then kick the field goal. What does McVay do? Again, he throws a deep fade pattern down the right sideline to Nacua that should have been intercepted and almost was. And I said to myself, you dumbass, you dumb shit, McVay. Why are you throwing a risky pass deep down the sideline when you're down one with 18 seconds left? I mean, that was a high risk of an interception there, and it almost was. Just an unbelievably stupid play call, brain dead by Sean McVay. But they lucked out. The ball wasn't intercepted. Then a running play, and then they're setting up a field goal of, I think it was like 43, 44 yards to win the game with 3 seconds left. Here we go again. Ball is snapped, kick is up, and it is blocked again by the Eagles by a fat defensive lineman. Then a fat defensive lineman picks it up and runs all the way for a touchdown with no time left on the clock. The Eagles win. The Eagles win. The Eagles win. 33-26. And boy, if you were taking the Rams plus 3.5, that is a dagger to the heart. That is a kick in the old ball sack right there. But again, that's on Joshua Carty. You watch the replay, the kick was low. The Rams need to get a new kicker. I mean, they had 2 kicks blocked because it was too low, and they're both on Carty. They're on him. Yeah, of course, you got to blame McVay for being in that situation and for having to try field goals. But my God, those kicks were low. Those defenders never got past the line of scrimmage when they blocked the kick. My goodness, that was, wow, what a display. What a display of bad coaching. Now, I will say this. I think Sean McVay is a pretty good coach. He's enthusiastic. He has a good offensive mind. He's a very good game planner. He's a horrible play caller. And I would say he's second worst of all the coaches in the NFL at managing the clock and managing his timeouts. He is just awful. The Rams are always low on timeouts in the first half and the second half. And how many times have we seen Sean McVay? He looks like Usain Bolt running down the sidelines all the way to the goal line to call a timeout with about 14 minutes left in the first quarter or the second quarter. Completely unnecessary. They don't help the team. All they do is hurt the team because he's out of timeouts. Just absolutely horrendous coaching, horrendous play calling, horrendous clock management, horrendous game management by a Mr. Boy Wonder, Sean McVay. And his play calling Sunday on short yardage situations, what can you say? I mean, the timeout with 14 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter when they're up 26-21. And after a timeout, you try to run up the middle against a 9-man front with those 2 all-pro tackles that the Eagles have. No chance of working. And the other times he's throwing the ball deep on there. Those fade patterns, I tell you what, Sean, get those fade patterns out of the playbook unless it's on first or second down. We know you have good receivers. We know Nakua's an all-pro. But get those fade patterns out of the playbook on third down and especially on fourth down. It's a low percentage play. Everything has to go right to throw that deep fade down the sideline. The first time they tried it, no chance. Settle for a field goal, blocked. Then late in the game, this is the one that really infuriated me. 18 seconds to go in the game. And he tried it again on a 3rd and 2, deep down the sideline. And I'll be damned, that ball should have been intercepted. Can you imagine? Of course, the LA media would have never pointed it out, but can you imagine taking a risk like that, throwing a low percentage fade pattern when a field goal wins the game, and you're already in field goal range, Sean McVay? And it should have been intercepted, and he was just damn lucky it wasn't. Then here comes Joshua Carty. Another low kick, and I'm sure a lot of you out there who had the Rams plus 3.5 were saying, even if he misses, we lose 27-26, we still cover that 3.5. And then the nightmare scenario happened. Carty kicks it way too low, which is why he shouldn't be the Rams kicker on Monday morning. They said cut him and bring somebody else in. Because not once, but twice, he kicked a low line drive into the middle of the line that was blocked. But the nightmare scenario, if you had the Rams plus 3.5, their kick is blocked. And a big fat guy picks it up. And there he goes, running all the way down the field for a touchdown as there's zeros on the clock. And not only do your Rams lose, your Rams don't cover and lose 33-26. Well, that one is a heartbreaker. That is the one back in the day where I would call my bookie or whatever and say I'm not paying. On freak plays like that, you know what? You can come after me with whoever you want. I ain't paying. Of course, I always did, but that was the thought that went through my head. Woo! Frustrating if you're a Rams fan. Again, I like Sean McVay as a coach. He's taken them to 2 Super Bowls and won 1. That's a lot more than Jeff Fisher or some of these other guys were doing. But my goodness, what a disaster. Let's take a break now and pay some bills. Let's hear from MTS Transportations. Dave Smith Unleashed, brought to you by MTS Transportations. And mention the Dave Smith Unleashed podcast and get 20% off on your next shipment for all your shipping, trucking, and freight needs. There's only one business to call, and that's MTS Transportations at 800-640-6873. MTS Transportations, 800-640-6873. Again, the disaster of Sean McVay, the disaster of play calling, the disaster of clock mismanagement, the disaster of game mismanagement. How about all of it? And there's nothing more than you can say. Again, I like him as a coach. I think he's enthusiastic. I think they do a good job of signing free agents. They do a really good job of scouting and bringing in really top-level players like Nakua and Cooper Kupp before him, got guys that really nobody else wanted. They're really good at finding gems in the draft and bringing in players that have been overlooked. He's a good talent evaluator. He's a good game planner. He is horrendous. They've got to take play calling responsibility away from Sean McVay if I own the Rams. And also, he can't be allowed to call timeouts either. I would put another coach like Dave Smith up in the booth. I'm the only one who can call timeouts while the Rams are playing. But it is just a disaster if you're a fan of the Los Angeles Rams. And let me know what you think about the boy wonder, Sean McVay. Do you agree with me? Hit me up on X at Dave Sportscott. And, of course, always go to the comment section on our YouTube page with the Dave Smith Unleashed podcast. Love to see your comments down there. Love to see your comments on X. And, of course, go to X. And I'm always talking about when the next show is going to be, what the topic is going to be, whether we're doing a live show or not. So if you want to know when Dave Smith Unleashed is going to be, and it's usually Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We do at least 3 shows a week. But if you want to know the topic and who the guests are going to be, check at Dave Sportscott on X. And, of course, never miss an episode of Dave Smith Unleashed on YouTube. And, again, this is why you listen to me. This is why you listen to me all these years on local LA Sports Talk Radio and on the national level as well. Because you're going to hear things on here that you never hear anywhere else. You're going to hear somebody who actually understands football and actually has opinions, which you don't get in LA Sports Talk Radio and in the LA media. What you get there are ass-kissing housemen or people who don't understand what they're watching when they watch football. That's why you come to me. That's why you come to Dave Smith for hard, unafraid, unabashed opinions. And again, and I mentioned earlier that Sean McVay is probably the second worst coach in the National Football League at managing the clock and managing his timeouts. You know who the worst one is? I'll give you a hint. He's the coach of my favorite team. I'm a lifelong fan of the San Francisco 49ers. Kyle Shanahan stands alone as the worst clock manager and timeout manager and game manager in the National Football League. Now, every week it's something. Burning timeouts, screwing up the play clock, managing the game poorly. Name me another coach. I'm going to give you a quiz right now. Here's a Dave Smith quiz. Name the only coach in NFL history who has single-handedly cost his team 2 Super Bowl wins. And 2 separate franchises. That's right. Kyle Shanahan. He was the offensive coordinator with the Atlanta Falcons, the play caller. Remember 28-3? Yeah, when the Patriots were down 28-3 to the Falcons? Yep, and he started throwing the ball and taking sacks and getting penalties and not working the clock properly, and all of a sudden the Patriots are coming back. And how about that last drive? It's 28-20 Falcons. They're on the Patriots 20 at the 2-minute warning. All they have to do is run the ball 3 times, make the Patriots use all their timeouts, kick the field goal. You're up 31-20. Game over. They're having a parade in Atlanta for their first Super Bowl championship. No, what does he do? No, he's got to be a genius. No. I do things my way. No common sense for me. First down, sack, back 10 yards. Second down, holding penalty. Now they're back behind the 40. They wind up punting. And, of course, in the last 2 minutes, what did Tom Brady do? Well, he does what he always does. He took the Patriots down the field, scored, made a 2-point conversion. It's 28, all going to overtime. Patriots win the toss, go down and score, and win 34-28. Kyle Shanahan single-handedly, with his stupidity and his hard-headed, stubborn nature, cost the Falcons the Super Bowl championship. And he did it again. That first Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs. Remember when Jimmy G was the quarterback? They had a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter. He butchered the clock at the end of the first half, and he butchered the clock at the end of the game. Screwed up his timeout, screwed up the game management, and cost the 49ers a Super Bowl win. That's why I don't like Kyle Shanahan. Again, he's a good coach. He's a good game planner. Smart guy. But, NFL games normally come down to what happens on the sideline. The decisions you make on the sideline, managing your timeouts, managing the clock, managing the game. There's nobody worse than Kyle Shanahan. But a very, very, very close second, in my opinion, it is the boy wonder, Sean McVay. So let me know what you think about that Rams performance. Yesterday. Either on X/Twitter at Dave Sportscout, or hit me up on the comment section on our YouTube page for Dave Smith Unleashed. Okay, that does it for us. Make sure and stay tuned for the next show coming up on Wednesday. Again, check X, check the comment section on our YouTube page. We'll always let you know what's going on, what we're going to be talking about, who the guests are going to be, and all the great information coming up on the next show. So once again, that's it for us. Thanks again to MTS Transportations. Thanks to all you subscribers. Thanks to everybody for listening. And remember to listen, to comment, and subscribe. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you next time right here on Dave Smith Unleashed.